What's up, YouTube? We are back with another one of these randomized D&D character creation things. Looks a little better than last time. I'm not sitting on my couch in a kind of dark living room. Instead, I'm sitting in a room with a beat-up desk and a very purple wall. And right above me is a window fixture straight out of the 70s, so we're in a good place right now. Anyway, last time we made a charlatan dwarf... What was that? Fighter, right. That part was so just unimportant that I didn't even care about it. So this time, we're going to have to see what we come up with. You're right, the lid isn't terribly pink because that fluorescent pink paint kind of didn't cover everything very well. Some purple's leaking through. Don't ask why the lids were purple, it's not very important. Also, I brought the desk pig for the sole purpose of being cute, and also because he keeps all the tags once I use them, so I don't reuse them accidentally. So there you go, little piggy, you're doing your job, I guess. Please don't throw those tags up. Alright, anyway, let's go ahead and get our stuff taken care of. So again, what we're doing is we are randomly picking a race, a class, and a background. And also we're going to go ahead and take care of our alignment before we go, so that way we have all 4 components we need, and then I'll meet you back at the computer once we are done. So let's see, let's get our race done first. So last time we had a, what, a Hilldorf? Let's see what we can get. Let's get a lawful good tiefling, or tiefling drow thing. No, that doesn't make any sense. Lawful good drow. That sounds like fun. Or I can just get a human. Cool, so we got a human. Human's not bad. There are various races and types of humans, so I can have a fun character with this. We just gotta figure out what else this human is going to be. You are a... Oh, I actually have a thing for this. A human barbarian. So I actually know barbarians, at least somewhat well. And finally, let's get our background. So my barbarian is a sailor. We've got a human barbarian noble. Well, that could be fun. Oh, I'm not picking that up. So let's go ahead and get our alignment. So the way we're doing alignment, and I just kind of made it up on the spot last video, is we're taking this dice, we're going to roll it. 1 or 2 is lawful, 3 or 4 is neutral, 5 or 6 is chaotic. He's lawful. Well, this is already weird. What kind of barbarian is this going to be? And then 1 or 2 is good, 3 or 4 is neutral, 5 or 6 is evil. He is a lawful good human barbarian. So the human noble lawful good makes sense. I don't know what I'm going to do with the barbarian. It's not too crazy, but we'll work it out. And again, just so people don't question, 5th edition. I did look it up. I made sure this was 5th edition, even though it doesn't say anywhere. So anyway, I'll see you back at the computer. Alright, I'm not actually done yet. I was sitting here doing some stuff because, like I said, I'm trying to get some of the more tedious things out of the way, like, you know, what skills he has and stuff, just kind of written down so when I go to the computer I can write it all in. But I figured, you know what, during this section we should probably go ahead and get our language taken care of, our age taken care of, and a couple other little features that are actually randomized. For example, there are 20 different languages, and as a human you can learn common and 1 other language of your choice. Apart from, I assume, Druid, so I skipped Druid when I wrote my giant list of languages. But there happens to be exactly 20. If you ignore common. So yeah, we're gonna roll a dice for that. But first let's get our age taken care of. The way I generally do age is I ballpark it between 20, for a human it's between 20 and 50. And a 1 is closer to 20, 6 is closer to 50, anything in between, I just kind of work it out. He's 40. Alright, well, we got a 40-year-old lawful good barbarian. Oh, and I did go ahead and pick a race. It'll be on the sheet when we go up there, but he's a Kalashite. Why? Because I felt like it, that's why. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I was just like, you know what? I'd like him to be more Kalashite-ish. I don't know, the other classes didn't seem good enough. I was thinking Mulan maybe, but don't really care. So let's see, age 41, because it's 5, it was a 5, so 41. Another thing I did want to go ahead and take care of before I ran up there was barbarians. They only have 2 branching paths, but also, and this is something I didn't think about with my other guy, they can get, you know, when their ability score improves, they could either do that or they can get some feats. I want to go ahead and choose 2 or 3 feats that he could have. The reason is, so these characters are all going to be level 1. And when you play a game, obviously you make modifications according to what your team may need. But I want him to have certain inclinations towards things that he might eventually get. Especially if he becomes an NPC and he starts at like level, what, 12 or something? So, I want to go ahead and do that. So first, he can either be a totem warrior, or he can be a frenzy barbarian. I call them frenzy barbarians. What are they actually called? Berserkers. I'm rooting for totem, but I have to get a 2, 4, 6 for totem, 1, 3, 5 for frenzy. Of course I got a frenzy berserker barbarian. Berserker. Alright, well, we got that done, I guess. So much for possibly being a totem warrior. I actually like totem warriors. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get some of our feats done. So, the feats, how they work is, there's 5 different, if you don't know, there's 5 different ability score upgrades you can usually get per class. The Barbarian has the usual, level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. He gets to either improve his ability scores or get some feats. Well, a feat. I'm going to go ahead and get 3 feats laid out for him, because I'm going to assume at some point, especially because I don't know what my ability scores are yet, at some point he's probably going to want to improve those ability scores. So I don't want to do 5 feats. I can see it, it'd be fun, but I don't want to do that. So how are we going to choose feats? Well, that's a good question. I think what I'm going to do, and let me know if you think of a better way of doing this. Because again, I want this to be kind of random, except for example, I don't know if I want a noble, lawful, good barbarian that's an actor. But that's not the point. I'm just looking at this, I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. Ugh. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write down, or give all these an arbitrary number. And just like the language, which we know we have not picked yet, that hasn't been cut out, we're going to roll a d20 and figure out our feats. Alright, so camera almost died, but going ahead, there's 42 feats, so I got my 2 d20. We'll work it out. For example, if I get a 40, I'll roll another dice and, you know, figure out if I get 40, 41, or 42 out of it. But I was looking at some of them are very magic oriented. For example, like there's one that's ritual caster. I'm a barbarian. I can't really use that. So what's going to happen is I think I'm going to still keep them if I get it. And put that in my guy's backstory. Because I can dual class, and I'm looking at dual classing. If I get certain feats, there's a certain class I want to go for, but we'll have to see. So let's just roll. I've got a 22. 22 is, well, what do you know? It's Magic Initiative. You know what? Magic Initiative. Alright, we'll do that. We'll do that. We can make this work. I think this is going to be one weird barbarian. Magic Initiative. I'm getting 3 of them, so I got 13. 13 is... Wow, we're getting nowhere. This is a healer. Oh boy. Alright. And give me something combat related. 18. I will re-roll this one. Here's why. Light armored. As a barbarian, I already have that proficiency. Redundancies, I think we should allow to go back. So, instead, I get a 28. I already get a 28. Observant. Okay, observant. So I didn't get any of the fun ones. I was kind of hoping to get like Polar Master, and my guy would just be a guy that wields like a halberd and just like, ah! Anyway. So we got that. Let's go ahead and get a couple other things straightened out then. So let's get our language. 1d20 gets our language, and they are numbered in alphabetical order. So like a 1's Abyssal, while a 20 is Terran. Because I accidentally messed up, I accidentally had common on my list as number 5. That is now undercommon. So my guy knows. Out of all the languages, I don't know that one. Ignan. What the devil is Ignan? Tells you how much I know. Ignan language. I don't know how I'm going to interpret this into this guy's story. And then let's get our ability scores taken care of. So our ability scores again are 4d6s. sparkle. And we drop the lowest one. And the way we keep it random is we are going from strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Just in that order, whatever I roll. I don't get to pick. I don't get to do any of that crap. Let's see, 9. Well, you know what? We got a 15 for strength. I'll take it. Dexterity. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Buddy, you better get some wisdom or something because you got like magic crap coming up. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 for constitution. For a barbarian, that's not good. It's not good at all. 15. That's not 15. 5, 9, 10, 11 for intelligence. I can live with that. Give me a good wisdom score. Woo! Alright. Well, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I will take a 15 in wisdom and live with that on my constitution. I'm sure I can get my constitution fixed up anyway, so. And... he's an 8 on charisma. Well, ain't that just a floopity-floop. Also, I think my camera moved. Also, a note about the feats, I don't have to pick them if I play with this character getting played. He doesn't have to have them picked. He could just still use an ability score. He just leans towards those feats. So say I was playing throughout my game and I'm hit level 12 and I realize I want one of my feats. I should probably pick one of those 3 feats, but if I don't really want to, I can just up an ability score again. So, that's the thing. We're going to go ahead and select a cross class for him. And, you know, we will roll on this. There are 12 classes. If I roll, I actually don't have a 1d12. I am a sinner. And this is how it goes. So, we got a d10 though. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out Barbarian. And if I roll a 10 or a 0, I just get to roll it again for odd or even. So let's see. Starting with the 1, Bard, to, I guess 11 would be a Wizard. Kind of wanted to be a Wizard. Let's see what we get. Got a 5. So, I just have to work around that. Number 6 is it's not a fighter, is it? Oh, crud, it's a fighter, isn't it? Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter. Oh! Oh, he's a monk! You know what? I'm gonna keep that. Yeah, actually, that's a good dual class. So let me put that under where his feats are gonna be. Dual class monk. So if I need to, or if I want to, I could make dual class him as a monk. Monks mainly use what? Constitution, strength, and dexterity. Well, he's got those. He's got, what feats did I give him? He has healing, I know that, observant. The only one that kind of is the magic one. So let me look at that real quick. I just kind of want to look at that, see what that does. Magic initiative. So, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard. So, you can become that. I don't want to tri-class this guy, though. Well, I said I'd roll for 2, so I'll roll for 2. And again, if I don't want to use the feat, I just bump up his score, so let's roll again. Gave him a 2. That is a Cleric. Cleric count? Cleric counts. Alright, well, you know what? For a Barbarian, I could see this. So, we can go Cleric. I'm not picking a Cleric class yet. There are like 7 or 8 of those, and I'm just going to let that one slide for a minute. If I do, I'd probably go for a War Cleric. It just makes sense. But he'd have to dedicate himself to a god. So one Cleric path, he dedicates himself to a god. Another Cleric path, or another path, he just dedicate himself to, I guess, you know, controlling his body and complete inner peace. A Barbarian Monk combo sounds awesome. So, I'll make sure to put that on the thing. So we got my skills, we got my feats, we got my age, we got my other stuff. You know, I think it might be finally, you know, this time to go up to the computer table. Alright, well, welcome back. So the last you guys saw was I came upstairs. So, okay, my room is in the basement that I do my recording out of. But I came upstairs, I got on the computer, and that was probably the last thing you saw was the fact that I was leaving that room. We just randomly picked some traits and stuff for my character. He was either going to be monk or cleric as a secondary. I'm going to drop my phone on the floor. Suffice it to say, I recorded the last 40 minutes and didn't realize I wasn't recording my screen. So, good news is, you guys don't have to deal with an hour-long video. Bad news is, I get to sit here and just boringly explain every choice he made. So, his name is Alhamad de Kazik. Kazik is not his original last name. His original name was just Alhamad. He was a low-born... I want to say fairly low-born. He worked his way up. Level 1 barbarian, human Kalashite, lawful good noble, because randomization is fun. So what we ended up doing was so as a human, we went with the variant that we could do for humans. Instead of giving +1 to every attribute, we gave +1 to dexterity and constitution. Gave him one of the 3 feats. So we gave him observant, so he could have his passive perception and investigation scores. And we gave him an extra skill, which was medicine, because of the other skills we got. As a noble, he got history and persuasion already, which... Oh. Fix that. +1 to persuasion, because he sucks, but he doesn't suck that bad. He's a noble still. And then as a barbarian, we ended up getting perception, because we have observant, and his passive perception is now 20, because it's a base 10. And survival, because this guy's been through some crap. He's 41 years old. I ended up throwing him the great sword as a barbarian, the hand axe, and then he got javelins. So there's that. Let me know if I did this part wrong. I don't do this part too often, but he ended up with 13 hit points. So he didn't start with any armor. So he got a great sword, 2 hand axes, 4 javelins, 25 gold as a noble, a purse, a fine set of clothes, which has the coloration that... Why did I do that? Anyway. Which this is the coloration of the house he's part of. He gets a scroll of proficiency and a gaming kit and explorer's kit. So the explorer's kit, here, I'll go ahead and put that here real quick. Explorer's kit. He gets a gaming kit of some sort, which I haven't figured out yet exactly what, and I'm not too worried about it at this point. It's just going to be like whatever game he likes. And a scroll of proficiency in something. I still haven't figured out what. He might not actually get that till later, just because. Anyway... So languages. He knew Common and Ignan, which Ignan is the language of the fire people, or fire creatures, so there's that. As a noble, he gets a 3rd language. We rolled and got Goblin, so he knows Goblin. I didn't see any tools that he's actually proficient in. So, yeah, no, none on tools. And then, here's what he got. So, as a noble, he could either be position of privilege or a knight. I went with the position of privilege. He could have been a knight, but I felt like the position of privilege worked better with his backstory. So, oh, and then, yeah, as a barbarian, he has his rage, his unarmored defense, his reckless attack. His unarmored defense is why he has 13 as his armor class, because it's 10 plus 2 plus 1. So, there you go. And then his hit points, 1d12 plus his constitution. So, there you go. But no, his backstory made position of privilege make a little bit more... Stop clicking me. More sense. So let's go down. 41 years old, 5'11", 200 pounds, ballparking it. Tan skin with gray eyes. I'm assuming more of an Andalusian kind of look. So if I remember, the Kalashites are kind of more Middle Eastern as their earthly analogy. So I gave him the last name of that. And the first name is pretty similar. But I'm making it more Andalusian because... I don't know. It feels better to do that. You can pull that off with Middle Eastern Spanish things. You can combine them. He ended up getting, let's see. So yeah, gravitates toward the following feats: Magic Initiate. If he goes cleric, he will go for this. Observant, which that should be up there, and Healer. So he can become a healer or magic initiate. I was thinking about putting a 3rd feat, but I just won't do it this time. And then he could either become a monk or a cleric as a cross-class later, and his subclass is Berserker. So, here's the reason why. Yeah, I'm just going to read his backstory of what we got. He's a very strange sort of man, keeps to himself, but deep down... Okay, so he already had a rage. I realize I kind of got a little pushed off by this, but that's okay. He does have a deep-set rage due to years and years of trying to prove himself against his peers. He keeps it in. And he's pretty good about controlling it because he's a lawful good. Troubled childhood and youth due to constantly being bullied and teased. Because his charisma is awful. He's not good at making friends. He's not good at talking to people. He's not charismatic.
However, he made friends with one of the bullies who happened to be the son of one of the Kalashite dukes. His name is actually Duke Kazik. So he saved his life from a band of marauders, and became best friends. During that time, I think a little bit before, the way he used his rage was he did use it as a fighting style. He kind of tried to channel it, but he was more of a fighter than a barbarian. We'll get to that in a minute. He has propensity to fighting, he learned. However, believes he should only fight in self-defense or in defense of those around him. So he knew he had these anger issues, but he kind of kept them in. In fact, that should have been one of his flaws, but that's okay. But he kind of kept them in, it was fine. Served for about 20 years in defense of his homeland as they received numerous attacks from various factions of goblins. So he learned Goblin because goblins were constantly attacking his homeland. I'm going to imagine he's more in like some desert mountain kind of area, which makes more sense to me. He's religious but not dedicated to any particular god at this time. And then gained status of the noble. So this is how he became a noble. And this is kind of why he's a barbarian now. He was defending his friend Duke Kazik. So he defends pretty much all these lands, but he was specifically trying to protect his friend. And through whatever thing happened, we don't really know. The Duke's family ended up getting killed, and the Duke himself was, in the end, mortally wounded. He did die like about a week later, succumbing to his wounds. But before doing so, Kazik didn't have any other heirs. They all died. This land has been ravaged for years now, just getting attacked by goblins, and this guy Alhamad has been doing his best to keep this land protected. That's what he's good at. He can't do anything else, but he knows he can fight, and he's almost kind of like a freelancer anyway, so you can put a whole bunch of quests and backstories in there before that. But yeah, he had no other heirs. He did put the kingdom on his best friend, because they became best friends. They fought together in a lot of these times. I imagine Kazik, as he got older, stayed more at home, and then something happened, and this is why he died. So Alhamad is actually recognized as the Duke of Kazik. Like, the people recognize him at that. People respect him because they know his backstory and what he's been doing. His childhood's kind of forgotten. He hasn't completely forgotten. That's kind of built why he is constantly fighting and trying to defend, because he knows, he continues to try to prove to himself that he is, good. That he's trying to continue to prove himself being better. He doesn't feel he's better than everyone else, but he needs to prove to himself that. But what happened was his friend died. That was his best friend. That was, kind of someone who got him out of his childhood funk in the first place. The guy died because Alhamad believes he wasn't doing his job, I guess. Like, again, we don't know exactly what happened. But we know Alhamad did not end up saving the guy's life. And he got rewarded for it. So he's really conflicted. So this kind of releases not only the pent-up rage from before, because he feels like he's a failure now from his childhood, but also the anger that his friend just got killed and he possibly could have prevented it. Again, we don't know if he could have or not. Probably not, but, this is the way this guy thinks. So due to the rage of losing his friend and a feeling of failure, his fighting style, has developed more into that of the barbarian. He was more of a fighter. He's become a barbarian now. He did not change fighting styles necessarily. He just, he has that rage now to be considered a barbarian. So he doesn't want to lose another he's protecting again. So he has that rage. So when he's fighting, he goes into the rage because he does not want to lose that person. He does not want to, fail the city. He abandons all civility when fighting. When he's done, of course, he goes back to his lawful good self. He's a good guy, and he believes in following all the orders. In fact, he follows his king to the letter. That's where his loyalty to his sovereign is unwavering. I mean, he was loyal to Kazik. He's loyal to the guy he's now subservient to. Of course, noble obligation, he protects those below him. Common folk, this is a hard one. Common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. The reason I picked that one was because he's not stingy about who he protects. He wants to keep his land safe, and as long as the people seem generally good, or even if they're not, even if they don't seem to deserve that punishment, he will protect them. But the reason I kept this flaw, I'm gonna change his flaw. I was originally gonna say that because his charisma is so bad, but I'm gonna put this: anger management issues. He does have anger management issues. He usually doesn't have a problem with them. But, I mean, with all this happening, he can get there we go. Anger management issues. Gets issues. There we go. Gets lost in blood rage. So there we go. finally, this is where his future comes in. Because I was like, why does he become a monk? Why would he become a cleric? So, a monk, he becomes a monk. You know, both paths are mostly because he realizes this rage is unhealthy. He needs to deal with this. The death of the Duke shouldn't have mattered, but, you know, he's mad. He's trying to come to terms with it. If he goes to the path of the monk, it's because he's trying to regain, you know, he's trying to regain his personal honor. However, he realizes, you know, this is not the right way. So, if he's going to use that rage, he needs to channel it and control it. And control himself. That's when he becomes a monk. He will delve himself into learning self-control. He knows speaking isn't a strong suit, so he doesn't necessarily need to be super public. He doesn't care for the riches. He wasn't grown up in that. So he can become a monk very easily just because he wants to gain that self-control. Or he goes the path of a cleric. He's somewhat religious, doesn't have a god that he dedicates himself to. However, religion could be his outlet, and he could become a cleric, realizing, you know, he needs to channel his rage and fight for something more. His Duke is dead. He can't just defend that. He doesn't have the personal connection with the king. So he goes the path of the cleric. That's how he learns Ignan. I almost kind of want to make it where he doesn't learn Ignan unless he goes the path of the cleric. Because as a cleric, he's going to worship some sort of fire god, because I had to put the cheesy thing in there. He feels it relates to the fire that burns in his soul. So there you go. Yeah, so that's Alhamad. I like him a lot, actually. I like him almost as much as Duke Ickleswitz's not self. I do like our crazy old hill dwarf, but I think this guy will work. The only thing that bothers me is his constitution's a little low for a barbarian, but his wisdom and his dexterity both will allow him to be either a monk or a cleric. I'm leaning more towards the cleric side. So, anyway, let me know what y'all think of this character. This one went a lot smoother, actually, than last time. I think I'm just going to have to make a list of just what order I want to do everything in from now on, just to kind of keep it sane. And that way I don't go like, well, I got 2 languages. Oh, I get a 3rd one. Go back and have to do it again. But, again, thank y'all for watching. If you liked this video, just leave a like down below, comment, and I guess if you want to use this character in your D&D game, go for it. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep him on the side and probably make him an NPC or something. Anyway, thanks. See you in the next video. Bye.